Captains, welcome back to another episode here. In this episode, I've added now Rex SkyForce 3D. So, let's see. Frames are about the same. It hasn't really affected our frames. Let's see what it does to our weathering. Now, we've got some strobe effects happening in the cockpit here. And it's an add-on that I've added with the lights to the aircraft, and it kind of is a bit jarring sometimes in a test video. So I'm gonna just turn off that strobe there. So that's should be okay now. I'm sure we'll be allowed to fly it. What was that? Bit of lightning there. Okay, so let's take the brakes off. Let's go flying. And let's see what Rex SkyForce 3D has done to our sim. So the textures, we're in the phase at the moment of completely replacing the textures in the sim. We've replaced the sort of sky textures twice, actually, really. We've replaced the airport textures, the runways that you see, the taxiways, they've been replaced twice as well. Even the trees have been replaced and kind of added rather than replaced. Gosh, this is a right hairy thunderstorm here. The clouds, I must say, SkyForce Rex, the clouds look a lot better. They look a lot fuller, they go down to the ground as well. If it's going to be a more immersive experience, like the lightning I wasn't impressed with before. When I added, I think it was Active Sky, the sky fireworks, the lightning strikes looked a bit there. You know, they weren't actually that good. So let's see now if they are any better here. And I mean, to be honest, for me, I think they look a bit better. Yeah. I think it looks all a bit better. More chance of getting lightning strike here, I think. So what else have we replaced? Well, if you look down below, all the texture underneath here is from Ultimate Realism Pack and UTX. Although no, that was just for Canada. But the Ultimate Realism Pack replaced these textures here. Orbex has laid down the trees. Terraflor has done the orange trees. Going behind us here, all the objects, the houses, is Orbex Global. And the airport is a combination of Texture Direct and the airport pack with Rex. What else have we replaced? In the sky, we've replaced the clouds with SkyForce and Texture Direct. They're kind of like a combination there. I'm still playing with them. I might introduce cloud art and replace the cloud art textures with Eventex textures. I'm basically going for realism here. I'm going for what looks real. So like the water here is okay. I do like the look of it. There was a struggle at one point. I might even have to, now that I've put in SkyForce and all the weathering ones, I might have to redo PTA Assistant and Tomato Shade presets just to give back again what they might have taken, because there's so many, like, it seems that there's so many different layers to each add-on, but I'm not using all of them. I'm using bits here and bits there, and it's kind of like, what order do you put them in, you know? That's the thing. So I think on a sunnier day we'd have more reflections down there, but today it's not as reflective. We are super high. Lightning is going mental all around us. We are going to get struck here. The lightning is texture direct. It's not SkyForce because I don't remember SkyForce asking me to install a lightning. The SkyForce settings, I've basically installed tomato shades presets for the skies. So let's be honest here, I've relied heavily on tomato shade to sort of give me my sim look. I think most people would just find a combination of what works for them and sort of go with that. But I seem to have clinged on a little bit to tomato shade. I think I've just liked the looks of their images on their websites, and I've wanted to replicate that myself because it looks real. You know, that's heavy landing. Okay, so yeah, the skies do look from the ground do look a lot better. The sim in general, for me, just I think looks a lot better than what we originally saw. Oh, that's the turning I wanted to go down. I wanted to see if that building, that knackered building, was still there. Yeah, like if going back to our very first video and seeing what was on, it was very sparse, it was very basic looking, the grass looked very pale, the colors were very pale, there wasn't very much pop anywhere. But now that we've added a lot, there's just so much more life in it. And yes, some of it has decreased our frames, sadly. But you know, it's a trade-off, really. It's like what's more important to you? You know, every time I come here, this area looks different with the buildings. It's like they keep moving the buildings, I think. I don't know. I mean, look at them textures of that house. That looks so realistic, you know. And looks like there's some sort of plane standoff there. What is this? Some sort of Florida drug deal going down here. They're not tourists, are they? Hey, what's going on here? You gotta watch them. You gotta watch them. They're all out for it, you know. Yeah. So I do like the look of it. SkyForce 3D, whatever you call it, has done a good job. As has the textures of the airports. I still might need to tweak a few things in the settings just to get my frames. I reckon I need to add at least 10 more frames. But tell you what, actually, let's hop back in. Let's turn around. Let's go back on the runway. And let's go land at the other airport. We've never done that. So, I mean, the only thing we're looking at here is the weather. The ground, everything on the ground doesn't really. We're not here to inspect that because we've already seen it in previous videos. So it's really the. Let's put some flaps down. Let's go take off, and we'll go land at the other airport. I mean, I've never done this approach before, so we really won't know. But at least we'll see what that other airport looks like from the sky, and what the weather's doing. Okay. I mean, yeah, the trees. The trees have really come along there. Planes. Right. It's very different looking. It's very different looking over here, isn't it? It looks. I just think it looks 10 times better than the very first video. The water looks better. There's more activity. There's more buildings. There's more just generally of everything. It's just now making sure that we can get like a sort of bit higher frame rate, just because when we go to DFW, our frames go right down, and I feel that you know, we probably need to aim for a 60 frames per second goal, just so when we go to DFW, I have 25. In fact, I think there's a runway straight ahead that we can just. Now let's land on the other one. So, what will I be putting in next? Because I've really installed all of the hardware, all of the software, sorry, that I can, you know. There's not much more software to be putting in. It's now more like. Let's line up on the runway. It's now more stuff like mega scenery files to put in. That's going to change, and that's probably going to change this area here as well. Even though this looks as good as it does, I have a feeling it's really going to get changed when I add in mega scenery, because all of these buildings here, all of the trees, they will disappear, I feel, when we add it in. So if it doesn't look good, we just delete it off. We won't use it, because it's got to look good, really. It really has. So here we go. Coming in now for final. I mean, this approach here, this looks very more sort of, you can see the airport better, you know. I think the grass here could do with being darker. I think that's a preset, a shader thing. I could make that darker. I think there's perhaps a little bit too much color pop in it. I think things can actually be toned down just a little bit. Maybe Tomato Shade do a dark and a bright setting, and I reckon I could get away with a darker setting. Here we go, coming in now. Float it down like a glove. There's a bit of a bump one. Yeah, we get a bit of better view of the airport here, don't we? As we rock it down. It is really windy, really breezy. Right. Okay, so I think that's it for this video. The weather is more dynamic, I feel. We really probably won't get a sense of it until we get up in the clouds and see the texture of these things. I feel that that's probably the truer one, but just looking at it from here, it does look a lot better, a lot more real as well. The clouds look like clouds that you see in the sky. The runway looks like a runway. Everything is looking a lot better than when we first hit it. In the very first video, when it had default everything, you know, it was a lot sparse. We had good frames, but it just looked pants, and that's what we're going for, is the realism factor. And as long as it's 25 frames, I'm happy. So I think now the next thing I'll be adding in is mega scenery. I'm going to add in mega scenery Texas and mega scenery Florida, and we're going to do the DFW flights, and we're going to do this flight, and we're going to see how it's affected the sim. So thanks for watching. If you want to see what DFW was like, just check out our previous video. We took off from there. Not much will have changed. You can see what cloud coverage would have changed in this video, but in DFW was in the last video, and in the next video we're going to return to these two airports and check out what's happened. So until then, take care and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.